Chapter 879. Everyone was enlightened. That's right. If they couldn't do it, they could use other methods to do it. As long as they could eat delicious food in the end, it was fine. The streamer could do this because she was amazing. Noobs could only imitate the master's methods. They had to find a way that suited them. Dear Upstairs, why didn't you say so earlier? I feel like I missed out on a billion QAQ. The audience member who was being complained also laughed out of anger. He directly replied with a sentence across the air. How would I know that you guys couldn't think of such a simple solution? I thought everyone would know. Supercilious, many of the noobs who were excluded. I suspect that you're implying that we're stupid, and we have evidence. In any case, this reminder gave many people who wanted to personally cook a new hope. That day, the number of orders for all kinds of cooking tools and ingredients skyrocketed. Not only were the old stocks in the hands of many merchants sold out, but they were also close to exploding due to the lack of supply. Su Yiyen probably didn't expect that a reminder from a certain audience member in the live broadcast room would indirectly promote the sales and development of gourmet-related industries. It was an unexpected surprise. While the audience was chatting and sighing, Su Yiyen had already chopped the whole piece of lean meat into digestible powder. She added the previously peeled junzi meat and seasoned it with some salt. Then, she pinched out pieces of meat patties for later use. The junzi meat patties are ready. Next, we just need to steam them. Now, let's cook a bowl of longan porridge. The main ingredients of longan porridge are longan meat and red dates. These two things are sweet, so the porridge will also have a sweet taste. Children like to eat it. Some children will easily wake up from their sleep at night and cry non-stop. Even the adults won't be able to sleep well. The longan meat in this porridge can calm the nerves. Paired with the red dates, it can alleviate the symptoms of children crying at night to a certain extent. Su Yiyen quickly removed the seeds from the longan and red dates and boiled them in the rice. If you don't like longan and red dates, you can cook lily porridge with lily and lotus seeds. Lily and lotus seeds are both medicinal herbs that can calm the mind. Moreover, they also have some fragrance and are very refreshing to eat. Friends who like to eat sweet things can add more brown sugar to enhance the taste. At this point, the things that had to be done for the live stream were basically done. However, Su Yiyen did not stop there. Alright, that's all for the baby for now. Next, I'm going to make 2 dishes for the big baby. When Su Yiyen said this, everyone was stunned. Big baby? Baby? Didn't the streamer just give birth to a baby? Where did these babies come from? Could it be that the host gave birth to twins? How is this possible? If they were twins, then the 2 babies should be the same age. Wouldn't it be fine to cook the same thing? Why did they have to cook separately? I'm guessing that some relatives brought their children over as guests. That child is slightly older than the host's child, so he's a big baby. Your logic is too far-fetched. Doing it separately might not necessarily mean that the children were of different ages. It might just be that the babies had different tastes. It's just that the big baby doesn't like the food that the little baby eats. Who knows what a child's tastes are? There's nothing strange about that. Little baby, big baby. With this kind of sentence, haven't you guys thought that the big baby might be the little baby's biological father? Chapter 880. The last conjecture shocked the audience in the live broadcast room, but some people's hearts had already begun to waver. Su Yiyen naturally saw this comment and secretly sighed at the audience's sharp eyes. However, she did not answer the question directly. Instead, she brought out a big pot of frog. The audience, who had been discussing who this big baby was instantly shocked and lost their voices. What the hell is this? Oh my god, it's too ugly. So scary, so scary, so scary. The host can't be thinking of eating this, right? Are you sure it's not a dark cuisine? Horrified face. Although it's possible that the host can really turn something rotten into something magical, this is so ugly. I really refuse. Ugly rejection. Host, quickly put this thing away. I'm about to cry. Let me explain. This thing is called a toad. There was a saying in ancient Earth that a toad wants to eat swan meat. This is what it's talking about. It means that it's ugly and dares to covet beautiful food. It doesn't know what it's doing. Pfft, now that you mention it, I suddenly understand what it means. This thing is really ugly. Su Yiyan did not expect to see a screen full of toads when she looked up after processing the ingredients. She could not help but be confused. Toad. This is not a toad. Not a toad. But the picture in the Ancient Earth Animal Encyclopedia is clearly very similar to this. Frog and toad do look alike, but they are really two different species. Toads have rough skin and many small lumps on their backs. These lumps contain poison, so they can't be eaten. Frog's skin is relatively smooth and there is no poison, so it can be eaten. Little cuties who can't tell the difference must not look for these ingredients for this one bite. Otherwise, if you eat the wrong thing, you will die. The stubbornness of a foodie was hard to imagine. It was better to clarify this kind of uncontrollable hidden danger in advance. Otherwise, if something really happened, Su Yiyan would inevitably have to bear some responsibility. Now that the host said this, I suddenly feel that this thing is not so hideous. At least it looks a little better than a toad. Su Yiyan saw that her audience began to comfort themselves without her saying anything, and even hypnotize themselves. She could not help but laugh. However, she was still very confident in this dry pot chicken. Although Froggy didn't look good, she believed that many people would like it when the finished product was made. Su Yiyan cut the large pot of frogs into pieces and marinated them with salt and cooking wine. Then, he temporarily placed the pot of frogs in a place where they could not be seen. Even after countless psychological preparations, the audience still couldn't accept it. They heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that they could finally watch the live broadcast properly and enjoy the food without suffering any visual impact. The next second, he saw Su Yiyan bring out a very ugly plate of rabbit heads. Everyone. F***CK. What was that? Why did he look so scary? Mama, did I go to the wrong room? Mo Fong, this is a rabbit head. Today, I'm going to make a spicy rabbit head for everyone. Rabbit head. A rabbit's head. It was the one covered in white fur that was as soft as a cloud. The rabbit that has been ranked first on the list of cute creatures for several years. Bunnies are so cute. Why eat bunnies? QAQ, when Su Yiyan saw this comment, she revealed an inexplicable evil smile. Bunnies are so cute. Should they be steamed or braised? Forget it, let's just make it spicy. Chapter 881. After saying that, she ignored the moaning in the live stream room and immediately opened the fire. She blanched the rabbit heads that were marinated in advance and filtered out the blood in them. After that, she opened the fire and used dried chili, spices, and various braised herbs to make a fragrant spicy gravy. Once the smell came out, the audience no longer cared about whether rabbits were cute or not. They just wanted to eat this fragrant gravy as soon as possible. It's here. The host's gravy. This smell is really fragrant. I'm almost drooling after smelling it. It's indeed quite similar, but it feels a little different from the ones that the host sold before. It's a little spicy. Is it because she added more chili? Spicy rabbit heads, spicy and spicy. Of course, she has to add more chili to make it taste good. After Su Yiyan finished talking, she soaked the plate of rabbit heads in the gravy. Many viewers in front of the screen couldn't help but salivate when they saw this. At this time, the longan porridge was almost done. There was a thick layer of rice paste on the surface. Su Yiyan put the rangoon patty that she had prepared earlier on and steamed it while she was cooking the porridge. After that, the first pot of frogs was almost done marinating. She rinsed it with water to wash away the blood and impurities on the surface. Then, she heated up the oil and added ginger, chili, and sauce until it was fragrant. She put the frogs in and stir-fried them. When the fragrance came out, she poured some fine wine along the side of the pot. As soon as the wine servant fell into the pot, it immediately mixed with the fragrant sauce below. With a whoosh, a fresh fragrance rushed out, causing the audience who had secretly made up their minds not to eat this dish to waver wildly. This smell, I suddenly feel like I can do it again. Hand, you can't. Brain, you can't. Mouth, you can. Before the dishes were finished, some people were already enjoying the fragrance. Unfortunately, Su Yiyan didn't have time to care about them. Seeing that the frogs were almost done, Su Yiyan quickly took another pot and chopped up her favorite potato slices, onion slices, and lettuce shreds. She stir-fried them together with the garlic slices for a while. After stir-frying, he poured it into the pot of frogs and stir-fried it a few times to mix the meat and vegetables together. Then, he turned off the fire and started cooking. In an instant, a large pot of fragrant dried pot frogs was placed right in front of everyone's eyes. The strong aroma mixed with the billowing white smoke kept drilling into everyone's noses, making them so hungry that they almost drooled. I can't take it anymore. If I die, so be it. I'll eat it first. You guys can do whatever you want. Some of the people who were still hesitating because of the frog's appearance couldn't hold back under the assault of the fragrance. They all stretched out their evil claws toward the pot of devil fruit. In the end, the moment he entered, he couldn't stop. The pheasant meat was tender, fragrant, and spicy. It didn't have the expected bitter and fishy smell. It was extremely fresh. Sob, 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 I was wrong, I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted the host's choice. Although this thing is ugly, the meat is really tender. It's tender, fragrant, and spicy. The more you eat it, the more addictive it is. Damn! Who would have thought that such an ugly thing would be so delicious? I declare that from today onwards, this dish will be my favorite. Whatever spicy boiled fish or crayfish will have to stand aside. The few of you who spammed the screen are too much. A big pot of food can't even stop your mouths. You guys are eating it, but you still call it ugly. Is there any justice in this? Frogs, didn't you say you wouldn't eat me if I was ugly? Diners are all liars. They're all pig trotters. It's too difficult for me. Chapter 882. Su Yiyan glanced at the screen and confirmed that most people were already savoring the frogs. She smiled and started to prepare the last dish, duck blood curd. It wasn't difficult to make duck blood curd, but it required a certain amount of patience and care. There were more ingredients in this dish. The processing method of each ingredient, the timing of adding them, and the heat needed to be paid attention to. Su Yiyan first dipped the tripe, duck blood, and eel in water. Then, she added chili powder, ginger slices, and scallions to make it fragrant. She added the bean paste and stock to make the soup base. Bean sprouts, daylilies, wood ears, lettuce, and other vegetables were easy to cook. Once they were cooked, they had to be taken out immediately. Otherwise, the taste would deteriorate if they were cooked for too long. It was the same for the tripe. The duck blood and eel needed to be cooked in the soup pot first. The tripe only needed to be boiled for a while before it was ready to be served. This kind of tripe was crispy and tender, and the taste was excellent. Finally, she drizzled red-hot pepper oil and poured it into the sole, instantly attracting everyone's attention. Some people didn't even have time to climb out of their bowls of frogs and fell into the pot of duck blood curd. They were eating from their bowls while looking at the pot. When the duck blood curd was ready to be served, the rabbit head that was soaked in the brine was almost done with the juice. She took it out of the brine and added the pepper and chili powder to stir-fry until the rabbit head was fully coated in the chili oil. The audience in the live stream only felt that they had just eaten a few tender frogs when two more red and fragrant dishes appeared in front of them. Their eyes were wide open. After eating the soft and sticky meat, spicy and fragrant rabbit head, the people who were originally shouting, "Bunny is so cute, why do you want to eat bunny?" collectively changed their words to, "Bunny is so cute, don't let it go." Rabbit, who instantly became the public enemy and the future rations of countless people. Humans are really big pig trotters. While the group of people was busy tasting the three spicy dishes, the soup, meat pancakes, and sweet porridge that were made before were cooked one after another. Although it was just a virtual tasting, Wu Qinhuan's company's virtual simulator had a very good taste effect. Even if it was just a taste, after tasting three spicy dishes in one go, many of the audience members felt their mouths burning. Drinking some porridge soup was just enough to relieve the heat. After everyone recovered from their shock, they finally realized what was going on and focused their attention on the three spicy dishes prepared by Su Yiyan. Did anyone notice that the three dishes that the streamer made for the big baby are all spicy, and they are super insanely spicy? I noticed it too. Children definitely can't handle this level of spiciness. I have a guess too, me too. A group of people began to spam the bullet screen with some specious words, making it seem like an underground organization was communicating with each other. In the end, someone couldn't stand the crowd's deliberate mystification and asked directly, "What kind of riddle are you playing? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't be so sarcastic. Ha 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 ha, I can't hold it in anymore." Her husband was a big baby. Look, the three dishes are bright red, and they are all spicy. Children can't handle so much spicy food, so the big baby can only be an adult. And if I remember correctly, the streamer's husband likes strong flavors. The crayfish and spicy boiled fish from before were all prepared for him. Today's three dishes must be for him too. It's so sour. Chapter 883. Su Yiyan had never publicly said that her husband liked to eat spicy food, but the audience who had been watching her live broadcast for so long were not stupid. They knew that Wu Qinhuan would watch her live broadcast on time with the other audience members. Every time Su Yiyan made delicious food for him, she would generously say, "For my husband." This was also the main reason why the group of single people in the live broadcast room would cry out from time to time that they had eaten dog food and were being abused like sour lemons. After being force-fed dog food several times, some of the more attentive audience members naturally figured out Wu Qinhuan's preferences from Su Yiyan's inadvertent disclosure. Now that they saw these three dishes, their mood became subtle. How was this delicious food? It was clearly a big bowl of dog food. Su Yiyan really did not realize that her audience members were so clever before this. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, but she still did not explain. As usual, one lucky audience member will be given a small sample of the same dish. Those who can't get it don't have to be disappointed. Seasonings such as chili will be officially sold tomorrow. There will be more than the other dishes. It's first come, first served. Su Yiyan made 3 spicy dishes today. First, she took into account that Wu Qinhuan had accompanied her to eat confinement meals during this period of time. He had not eaten food that suited his taste for a long time. Today, she could help him improve his diet. On the other hand, it was because most of the seasonings such as chili, pepper, and the like were mostly annual. They were easier to grow than other Chinese medicinal herbs, and the production was also larger. In the first phase of the sale tomorrow, the total sales of chili would account for the majority. In the future, chili would probably be the most popular. After all, there were many people in the world who liked to eat spicy food. Not to mention Hu Chenhuan, the Su family members also liked spicy food. It was necessary to focus on promoting it. When the audience in the live broadcast room heard Su Yiyen's words, their eyes lit up. Just as Su Yiyen said, there were many people who liked to eat spicy food. But other than the research institute, only Su Yiyen had chili. They had tasted it in Su Yiyen's live broadcast room. Even if they went to a high-end restaurant and ordered the spiciest food, they always felt that something was missing. Now that Su Yiyen mentioned it, the audience's inexplicable pessimism that a large number of people would compete with them was suddenly ignited. Although there were many strong competitors, it was not necessarily impossible for them to get it. It was time to show their hand speed of many years of being single. Su Yiyen finished the lucky draw and turned off the live broadcast room. As soon as she walked out of the kitchen, she ran into Hu Chenhuan, who had hurriedly come back from outside. "You're back. The food is ready. Eat it while it's hot. It won't taste good when it's cold." Hu Chenhuan glanced at the frog in her hand and nodded reservedly. When he watched the live stream just now, he knew that these things were made for him, so he didn't fight with the audience who hadn't seen the world for themselves. Now that she smelled the fragrance coming from the pot and thought of the comments the audience made in the live broadcast room, Hu Chenhuan suddenly felt a little hungry. When the food was on the table, Uncle Zhang finally came back with the little guy, who had eaten and drunk to his heart's content. He had just drunk milk, but the little guy cried out as soon as he got close to the table. It was obvious that he wanted to eat after smelling the fragrance of the food. Su Yiyen was also interested when she saw this. She grabbed the little chubby hand that was waving around and laughed. "Do you want to eat? Do you want to eat this?" "Ah, ah, ah, ah." Little Xingxing's big watery eyes stared at the small piece of meat patty in the chopsticks. His little mouth squirmed a few times, as if he was swallowing. Chapter 884. Most people's hearts would have melted into a puddle of water when they saw this scene. No matter what the little fellow wanted, they would give it to him. However, Su Yiyen only smiled and said, "You're still too young. You won't be able to digest this. When you're older, Mommy will make more for you." After saying that, she twisted the chopsticks and sent the small piece of meat pie into her mouth. Little Xingxing watched as the fragrant little thing flew into his mommy's mouth. When he reached out again, there was nothing in front of the chopsticks. It's gone." Little Xingxing's expression was blank for a moment. Then, his little mouth pouted and he started to cry. Ever since the little fellow was born, other than when he came out of his mommy's womb and cried so loudly, he was mostly teary-eyed and did not make a sound. It was rare for him to be so emotional. Now that he started crying, the adults present, including the culprit, Su Yiyen, were all shocked. Su Yiyen was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. She reached out to carry the child, but realized that her hand was still holding the chopsticks. While she was in a daze, the nanny had already stepped forward to carry the child and coax him softly. The little fellow stopped crying very quickly. He only stared at the chopsticks in Su Yiyen's hand with tears in his eyes. His big eyes were full of accusation. Su Yiyen coughed softly and guiltily hid the chopsticks under the table, trying to destroy the evidence. Unexpectedly, it would have been better if Su Yiyen did not hide it. Once she did, the little fellow thought of the missing meat pie. His little chubby face scrunched up and he started to cry again. Su Yiyen, Hu Chenhuan, the corners of Hu Chenhuan's mouth twitched. He instinctively looked at his wife. Su Yiyen received his gaze and instinctively spread her hands to show that she was really innocent this time. Hu Chenhuan, the little guy was still young, so the food on the table definitely couldn't be given to him to eat. The nanny hugged and coaxed him for a while, but when she saw that he was still staring at the dining table and crying non-stop, she could only look at Su Yiyen for help. Su Yiyen was also a little embarrassed. Her ears were slightly red as she said awkwardly, "Take him upstairs and play with him for a while. We'll go over after we finish eating." Yuan was by the nanny's side now. It would only be a short while, so she was not afraid of any trouble. The nanny hurriedly carried the child upstairs as if she had been granted amnesty. Su Yiyen watched as her baby's small figure gradually disappeared into the distance and her cries became more and more indistinct. She let out a long sigh and said worriedly, "I'm afraid she's going to be a little foodie in the future. She cries like this just because she stutters. I don't know who she inherited it from." Hu Chenhuan, who inexplicably felt that she had been implicated. "You were the one who deliberately teased him with food and bullied him until he cried. Now you're trying to shift the blame to the genes." Not long after the child was taken away, his cries stopped. Out of sight, out of mind, and with a little toy, he temporarily forgot about the unhappiness just now. Su Yiyen looked calm on the surface, but she was actually a little guilty in her heart. Now that she heard the crying, she let out a sigh of relief and continued eating. Hu Chenhuan glanced at the 3 dishes in front of her, then looked at the soup and small meat patties in front of Su Yiyen. A slight smile immediately appeared in her eyes. She said that it was for the baby, but in the end, she was eating happily. She snatched the baby's food and even made him cry. This little liar, Su Yiyen, who was completely unaware that she had become a little liar in a certain someone's eyes, finished a bowl of longan porridge and a few steamed meat patties. Chapter 885. She didn't have a big appetite and didn't eat much at night. She didn't prepare much food for herself. On the other hand, Hu Chenhuan's bowl of dry pot chicken was quite big. There weren't many spicy rabbit heads, but there was still a big bowl of duck blood curd. Uncle Zhang also ate a little because of Hu Chenhuan. However, old people couldn't eat too much spicy food and were afraid of indigestion at night. In general, he didn't eat much. More than half of the remaining food went into Hu Chenhuan's stomach. After dinner, Su Yiyen couldn't help but reach out and touch Hu Chenhuan's stomach. That's strange. There was so much food just now. Where did it all go? Hu Chenhuan grabbed Su Yiyen's hand that was touching his stomach. Even if he was calm, he couldn't guarantee that his gun wouldn't go off when his wife touched him like this. Although he wanted to do her right now, he restrained himself when he thought of the doctor's instructions. "I'm a man. I have a big appetite." "I know you have a big appetite. I mean, where did you eat so much?" It was fine that his stomach didn't bulge, but he actually had abdominal muscles. Before his legs recovered, he stayed at home every day and did some rehabilitation exercises occasionally to prevent his legs from shrinking. She could understand why he had developed abdominal muscles. Later, when Hu Chenhuan's legs recovered and she was pregnant, he was basically by her side all the time except for work. After she gave birth, Hu Chenhuan took over the whole group. With 2 big companies in his hands, he was so busy that he didn't have time to exercise at all. He ate so much and didn't exercise, but he didn't lose his shape at all. Was this really scientific? Maybe I'm not born to be fat. In the past, he didn't pay much attention to food. However, when he was with Su Yiyen, he was fed 3 meals a day on time. Occasionally, there would be snacks and afternoon tea. Especially during Su Yiyen's pregnancy and confinement, the family made delicious food for her in various ways. However, in fact, most of the food went into his stomach. This was also the main reason why most husbands would quickly swell up like a ball during their wives' pregnancy. However, Hua Chenhuan did not gain any weight even after eating so much. Su Yiyan pouted and said with a hint of envy, jealousy, and hatred, "If your words were heard by those little brothers and sisters who would grow fat just by drinking cold water, you would be beaten to death. You're attracting too much hatred." As Su Yiyan spoke, she glanced at Hua Chenhuan's belly with a particularly aggrieved look, causing a certain someone to scratch her nose, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Do you really want to hit me now? Do you really want me to eat until I become a big fatty? You don't like my abs. I don't know who used to like to sleep on my chest and touch me. Alright, that's enough." Su Yiyan's face flushed red when her little hobby was exposed so blatantly. She glared at Hua Chenhuan angrily. Seeing this, Hua Chenhuan immediately surrendered. "I was wrong. I won't say it again. Humph. If you want me to be fat, I can work hard to eat more. However, if I really don't look good when I'm fat, you may not like me anymore." Su Yiyan was stunned. She inexplicably felt that Hua Chenhuan was the villain who complained first. She immediately put her hands on her hips and said with a displeased face, "Am I such a superficial person?" Hua Chenhuan cast a suspicious look at her and said frankly, "Do you want abs or a beer belly?" Su Yiyan blinked, and the little swing in her heart began to swing wildly. On one side, she was pressing on the little angel with six-pack abs, and on the other side, she was pressing on the little devil whose neck could not even be seen. Abs. Chapter 886. Su Yiyan, who admitted that she was shallow, finally succumbed to the temptation of abdominal muscles. She completely gave up on feeding Hua Chenhuan into a big fat man. Hua Chenhuan looked at her regretful face and found it funny. "Do you want to feed me into a big fat man so much?" "Actually, no." Su Yiyan poked Hua Chenhuan's chest imperceptibly. "I just feel a little unbalanced. We eat together, but you eat so much more than me. I almost became a ball before, but you didn't change at all." A body like hers, who could not get fat no matter how much she ate, was simply the #1 enemy of the majority of dieting girls. Hua Chenhuan couldn't help but pinch his wife's small face, which was slightly puffed up because of anger. It was soft, just like their baby. Men and women are different. A girl is cute if she is a little chubby, but if a man is fat, Su Yiyan looked up at him in confusion. Haven't you heard of a saying? A white face covers 100 ugliness, but a fat face destroys everything. Hua Chenhuan pinched Su Yiyan's nose. "If I were really fat to the extent that my abdominal muscles become a piece, then it would not be cute, but an eyesore." Su Yiyan pouted and pushed Hua Chenhuan's hand away. "What's wrong with that?" Su Yiyan had seen some middle-aged uncles with bald heads and round stomachs. Now looking at Hua Chenhuan, she silently imagined him with a light bulb on his head and a swimming ring in his arms. For a moment, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. Hua Chenhuan was stunned and looked at her in confusion. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. No matter what you become, you will still be handsome and cute in my eyes." Su Yiyan's words were very sincere, but the smile in the bottom of her eyes was a little mischievous and sly. When Hua Chenhuan saw Su Yiyan's reaction, she knew that she must be thinking about something strange. She didn't dwell on it and asked with a faint smile, "How was it with the baby today? Did the baby disturb you?" No, the baby was very obedient today. When the people in my company knew that I brought him here, they all came to hug him and take pictures with him. He was very cooperative and didn't cry. It's just that they all rushed to my office like a swarm of bees, so I didn't have the mood to work. Before I came back, I still had a lot of documents to deal with, so I threw them all to Brother Junsheng. Thinking about it, I feel a little sorry for him. Many artists who had taken the blame but were not completely innocent. Hearing her words, Hua Chenhuan pondered for a while. It's indeed not easy to work with a child. Yes. Why don't I take him to the company tomorrow? Yes. Su Yiyen nodded subconsciously. Then, as if she had realized something, her eyes widened in surprise. What did you say? Are you taking the baby to the company? Why are you so surprised? Didn't you take him to the company today? When Hu Chenhuan said this, there was a subtle hint of jealousy. His wife took the child to play, but he was the only one excluded. How can it be the same? Su Yiyen thought to herself. Based on your image in front of the company's employees, if you really swaggered to the company with a child like me, the employees would be disillusioned. How is it different? You are his mother, and I am his father. It's natural to take the child out. What I mean is, can you really handle it by yourself? Hu Chenhuan laughed. If you can handle it, why can't I? You know, I usually take care of the child at home. Chapter 887. Su Yiyen choked. Indeed, Hu Chenhuan usually took care of the child at home. Most of the time, he changed diapers, made milk powder, fed the baby, and even bathed the baby. In his words, men and women should not touch each other. Even if the baby was less than 2 months old, he was still a boy. Su Yiyen was strictly guarded by a jealous man. Except for feeding the mother occasionally, she was basically only responsible for playing with the child in her spare time. Su Yiyen was silent for a moment as it concerned her position in front of her children. She straightened her neck and said, "So what? The baby still likes me. Every time he cries, he wants me to hold him. Yes, yes, yes. The baby likes you the most. The second person he likes is me." Hu Chenhuan agreed so readily that Su Yiyen felt a little embarrassed. She confirmed again, "Are you really going to take him there? Are you still worried about him being with me?" "I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about you." Su Yiyen frowned and thought for a moment. She was still a little worried and said, "If the baby keeps crying and can't be coaxed, or you have to leave for something, ask Xiaoyang to send the baby to me." Okay. Although she said that, it was the first time that the baby's father took the baby out alone. Su Yiyen felt that she still needed to make some preparations in advance. While Hu Chenhuan went to the bathroom to take a shower, she added Gu Xiaoyang and the other two to an independent private group and asked for help online. "Ordinary young madam, Hu Chenhuan will take the baby to the company tomorrow. Who is in charge of the head office tomorrow? Please help him." Gu Xiaoyang and the others were a little confused when they saw such a message. After they came to their senses, they started to talk at the same time. "Jumping Fish Hualong, young master is taking the little prince to the company tomorrow. Heavens, does that mean I can see the little crown prince tomorrow? Can I hug him? Is it okay if I take a photo with him? Serious little Yang, young master is taking the little prince to the company. Alone? Can young master do it? I have never taken care of a child. Can I help? Conscientious Swazwa, don't worry, madam. The three of us will be there for the weekly meeting tomorrow. We will help young master take good care of the child." Su Yiyen. She felt that the last sentence sounded a little strange, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The artists in her company liked to call their baby Little Prince. Now that she saw Yu Zian and the others calling him that, Su Yiyen did not find it strange, but, "Ordinary young madam, is your company having a regular meeting tomorrow?" How could Hu Chenhuan not tell her about such an important matter? If there was a regular meeting, even if it wasn't a big meeting of the entire company, at least a portion of the company's executives would be present. Imagine a meeting room filled with 20 to 30 company executives discussing the company's reports and future operations with a serious expression. But there was a pink baby carriage by the side, and occasionally a baby's cries could be heard. Thinking of this scene, Su Yiyen felt a little suffocated. But if she didn't bring the baby along and left him alone in the office, ordinary young madam, forget it. Don't ask him to bring the baby tomorrow. We'll talk about it when we have the chance. The three of them, who were still immersed in the sweet dream of holding the cute little prince in their arms, were shocked when they saw this message. Jumping fish Hualong, no, no, no. Young madam, please ask young master to bring the little prince here tomorrow. We will take good care of him. Chapter 888. Serious little Yang Yang. Yes, young madam, you don't have to worry that young master can't take care of him alone. Although we don't have much experience and can't help much, there are many girls in the company, many moms. We can definitely serve the little prince as comfortably as if he were at home. Conscientious left. Young madam, are you worried about the regular meeting? If so, you don't have to worry. It's okay if I don't attend the meeting this time. I can stay and take care of the baby. Bouncing you Hualong, you're cheating again. Young madam, I can also skip the meeting and stay and take care of the baby. Serious little Yang Yang, +1. Why do I feel that all of you can't wait to suck my baby? Su Yiyan had been worried that Hu Chenhuan would neglect her baby because she was busy with work. Now, she was inexplicably afraid that her baby would fall into a fire pit and be surrounded by a group of strange uncles. Ordinary young madam, I think it's not good for the boss to take the baby to work in such a serious place. It might be a bad example for you. Before Su Yiyan could finish the second half of her sentence, she was bombarded by the three people. Jumping fish Hualong, no, no, no. Young madam, you've misunderstood. Our company is very democratic and humane. As long as you complete the work assigned by the company within the specified time, we won't care about your personal affairs. It's not unusual for a young master to bring a baby to work. Previously, there was an employee who brought the baby to the company because his family had all moved out. He couldn't leave the company because of work, so he brought the baby to the company. Serious little Yang Yang, yes, I can testify to that. Conscientious Swazwa, yes, there is such a thing. After that, they began to spam the screen with various, enlightened, deeds in the company, trying to dispel Su Yiyan's idea of not allowing Hu Chenhuan to bring the baby to work. Su Yiyan looked at the flying explanations on the screen and couldn't interrupt. Her mouth twitched slightly. In the end, she had no choice but to give up. Out of sight, out of mind. Just then, a voice suddenly came from behind, startling Su Yiyan. What are you looking at? Nothing. Su Yiyan turned the screen down guiltily and changed the subject. I'm just thinking that there's no news from the police. I don't know when they'll catch Hu Chenhuan. Soon. Hu Chenhuan walked to the bed and sat down, hugging Su Yiyan. In a few days. Su Yiyan glanced at Hu Chenhuan in confusion. Her intuition told her that he might know something. Seeing that he didn't say anything for a long time, he turned to ask another person. What did the police say? When Su Yiyan mentioned the woman, a chill flashed across Hu Chenhuan's eyes. He sneered and said, maybe she was worried that we would do something to her son. After the woman was taken away, she took the initiative to confess all her contact details and transaction records with Hu Chenhuan. According to the lawyer's estimation, a few years in prison was inevitable. Hualong to Hudo Vent. To Hua, what? Although the woman was abominable, she was only an accomplice. In some ways, she was at most an accomplice. If she was convicted, it wouldn't be a big crime. At most, she would be locked up for a few years. However, this was not a big deal. When she came out, she would find that being locked up was not the worst thing. What awaited her after she came out was purgatory on earth. As for Hu Chenhuan had no intention of letting him come out alive from the beginning. Chapter 889. When Su Yiyan heard Hua Qinhuan's words, she narrowed her eyes dangerously and said coldly, "Do whatever you want. You don't have to be merciful to her." Not long after the incident, Su Yiyan got the surveillance footage from Yuan Yuan and found that the woman had actually begun to wander around the baby's room a week ago. It was only because she did not really get close to the baby's room at that time and did anything substantial to the child that she did not trigger the security system of Yuan Yuan's internal chip and punish her. This was actually one of the drawbacks of Yuan Yuan as an imperfect semi-finished product. It did not react as quickly as they had expected. For this reason, early in the morning, as soon as Su Yiyan went to the company, Hua Qinhuan asked Zhuo Yanbai to upgrade Yuan Yuan and add an early warning system. These abnormalities that they could not judge would be fed back to the owner in advance so that the owner could study and analyze the ultimate purpose of the other party's actions and effectively avoid some dangers. After watching these surveillance footage and combining it with the information that she had asked Hua Qinhuan to investigate about the woman's son, Su Yiyan quickly found out that there was something fishy going on. The time when the woman appeared near the baby's room was when her son had just owed a huge gambling debt, and Hua Qinhuan had only officially contacted her 3 days ago. What did this mean? It meant that long before Hua Qinhuan contacted her, this woman had already set her sights on her son. It was just that at that time, she was still hesitant, or rather, she did not have the courage to initiate a kidnapping to extort money to pay off her son's debt. Hua Qinhuan's appearance freed her from the abyss of evil. An accomplice who had just received money to steal the child and give it to the child's uncle was less guilty than the mastermind who had planned this whole conspiracy. After taking the money, she could save her son from the abyss of suffering and then escape far away. She did not need to risk being caught and dealing with her old boss for money. She did not need to worry that with Hua Qinhuan, the mastermind, in front of her, Hua Qinhuan and others would have the energy to pursue her, a small shrimp caught in the middle of a fight between gods. As for what would happen to the child after he was stolen and given away, it had nothing to do with her at the moment when the money was paid. Understanding this point, Su Yiyan really could not have the slightest bit of pity for this woman. The most ironic thing was that after that, the nanny and Uncle Zhang came to apologize to Su Yiyan out of guilt. They felt that it was their negligence that had caused the scare. He sighed from the bottom of his heart. Who would have thought that such an honest person would do such a thing? Honest. That's right. Everyone in the family Hua mansion had an honest opinion of that woman. Chapter 890. From the few words revealed by Hua Qinhuan, Su Yiyan also guessed that he should have some idea of Hua Qinhuan's whereabouts. Although she didn't know what he was planning to do now, since he was under control, she could feel more at ease. The only tricky thing was that paper couldn't wrap fire. After all, the fact that the child was almost stolen couldn't be hidden for long, and Su Yuxuan soon found out. "I was wondering why you suddenly took my little nephew to the company. Junxing also told me that you might be reluctant to be separated from the child for so long, so you simply took the child to the company. If I hadn't been careful and asked around, how long did you plan to hide such a serious matter?" Su Yiyan listened to her brother's angry questioning and said guiltily, "Brother, I was wrong. The baby is fine. He was just taken to the door when he was found and taken back. He wasn't hurt or frightened. I was afraid that you would be worried, so I didn't say anything. You were afraid that we would be worried and didn't say anything. Didn't you think that we would be scared to death if we found out from other people?" Su Yiyan choked and lowered her head, blaming herself even more. "Do Mom and Dad know about this? What do you think? If I know, how can Mom and Dad not know?" Su Yiyan lowered her head even more. What was Mom and Dad's reaction? "Did you tell them that the child was fine?" "Of course I told them, but how can this kind of thing be settled just by saying it?" Mom was scared. As soon as she found out about this, she immediately wanted to go to your house to see her grandson. I persuaded her and told her that it was already so late. You and the child must have already gone to bed. If she went there, she would be restless all night. Only then did I persuade her. Su Yuxuan sighed. Are you still taking the little guy to work tomorrow morning? If not, we'll go directly to your house tomorrow morning. If you do, you can take him home at noon and let Mom and Dad take a look at him to reassure them. Well, I won't take him tomorrow, then we'll go over tomorrow morning. You can tell Uncle Zhang, or you can go to work early tomorrow morning and wait for us at home. After listening to Su Yuxuan's words, Su Yiyan stubbornly continued what she was about to say. Although I'm not bringing him, Chenhuan is going to bring him to work tomorrow. Su Yuxuan was deathly silent for a few seconds before he roared out in an earth-shattering voice, What did you say? Su Yiyan touched her ears, which were hurting from the shock, and said helplessly, He's going to take Bao Bao to his company tomorrow. Alone? Will it work? He usually brings more than me at home. It should be, okay. Are you sure he's taking care of the child and not playing with the child? The corners of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. How about I tell him not to bring the child to the office tomorrow? No need. I just asked Mom and Dad. They're busy during the day tomorrow. We'll look for you at night. Su Yiyan was puzzled when she heard that. Didn't they just say that they would come together tomorrow morning? Why would they be busy while they were on the phone? Although she thought about it, Su Yiyan still agreed to it. The next morning, Hu Chenhuan, dressed in a handsome suit, pushed a pink pram, and carried a pink mother's bag on his shoulder as he slowly walked into his company. The receptionist, who had taken out her lipstick and was about to touch up her makeup before working hours, saw this scene. Her hand trembled, and the corner of her mouth drew a long red tail. Chapter 891. At the critical moment, another young lady at the front desk tugged at her, bringing her back to reality. The receptionist seemed to have woken up from a dream. She hurriedly hid under the desk at the front desk, barely managing to maintain her image in front of her boss. Hello, boss. The remaining receptionist discreetly shielded her colleague and greeted Hu Chenhuan with a polite smile. Hu Chenhuan pushed the stroller past the front desk and responded coldly and reservedly, yes. But when he entered the elevator, he subconsciously pulled at the mother's bag on his shoulder. It contained the baby's milk powder, diapers, toys, and other small things. If he accidentally lost it, the baby would not be able to play, but it would be a big problem if he went hungry. What Hu Chenhuan did not know was that as soon as he pushed the stroller into the elevator, the two receptionists at the front desk exploded. Xiao Jia, your face, the receptionist wiped the lipstick on her cheeks in an extremely boorish and bold manner. She looked at the direction Hu Chenhuan left with sparkling eyes and said excitedly, Why do you care about your face at this time? The boss was pushing a stroller just now, right? A pink stroller. It must be the little crown prince inside. It should be. What should be? It must be. Other than the little crown prince, who else can make the boss bring the baby to work? Yes, what you said makes sense. The boss brought the little crown prince to work. No, I have to tell this good news to the brothers and sisters in the group. Therefore, under the publicity of the receptionist's loudspeaker, the news of Hu Chenhuan bringing a child to work had already spread throughout the company before he even entered the office. Zhou Yanbai and the other two were even more excited. They rubbed their hands and were ready to take over Hu Chenhuan's job of taking care of the baby. Under the pretext of helping out, they openly sucked the baby. Most of the regular meetings in Hu Chenhuan's company were held in the morning. Usually, at this time, most of the employees were anxious, afraid that they would be criticized in public if they did not do a good report. But today was different. Since they knew that Hu Chenhuan brought a child to the company and would most likely bring the child to the regular meeting, they were all excited. Everyone at the meeting seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They couldn't wait for time to pass faster, so that they could see the legendary little prince who was doted on by thousands of people earlier. When Hu Chenhuan pushed the stroller into the meeting room, he was keenly aware of the burning gazes from all directions. He frowned slightly and glanced at the crowd with warning. Everyone was swept by his cold gaze and they realized that they had lost their composure. They hurriedly retracted their gazes and looked down guiltily. However, their guilty conscience didn't last long. Soon, they couldn't help but glance at the pram again. It was just that before, he was looking at it openly. Now, he was sneaking glances. Seeing this, Hu Chenhuan could not be bothered and pushed the stroller inside. Zhuo Yanbai, who was sitting below Hu Chenhuan, got up and walked over. "It's inconvenient for you to take care of the child. Why don't you leave him to me?" Yu Xian and Gu Xiaoyang, who were a step behind, secretly cursed someone's cunning in their hearts. However, to Zhuo Yanbai's disappointment, Hu Chenhuan did not let him take care of the child as he wished. Instead, he avoided his hand and pushed the stroller to the side of the sofa. "No, I'll take care of it. Do you really think that I can't see through your little tricks? Today, none of you can touch my baby." Chapter 892. Zhuo Yanbai's expression stiffened for a moment, as if he hadn't expected to be rejected. However, he quickly recovered and sat down on the other side of the pram with a faint smile. When Yu Xian saw that Zhuo Yanbai had been rejected, they felt a sense of relief and cursed in their hearts, "You deserve it. Who told you to always play tricks behind our backs? You were rejected by young master, weren't you?" Zhuo Yanbai saw how the two of them were gloating over his misfortune. He was both angry and amused, and his eyes were full of disdain. Did these two fools think that they had a chance just because he had been rejected? How naive. Young master clearly intended to do it himself and not let anyone else interfere. This included himself and, of course, also included them. They were still feeling smug and thought that they were better than him. Although he had been rejected, he was still sitting next to the pram and could see the little prince as soon as he lowered his head. The little guy was very sleepy. Before they set off, Su Yiyen had fed him milk once. After drinking it, he had fallen asleep and hadn't woken up since. Zhuo Yanbai looked at the little guy, who was as white and tender as a little doe. He felt as if a naked little angel was holding a delicate little bow and spinning it around for him. Then, with a whoosh, a small silver arrow with a heart-shaped arrowhead tail shot out and accurately pierced his heart. As expected of young master and young madam's baby. He was so cute. Just like that, Hu Chenhuan was busy listening to the department head's report and didn't notice that there was a terrifying child thief lurking next to her. Until, the originally serious atmosphere in the meeting room instantly became subtle because of the baby's low cry. Zhuo Yanbai, who had been staring at the baby like a weird uncle, was the first to react. He coughed softly and reminded him, "Young master, the baby seems to be awake." When everyone in the meeting room heard this, their eyes lit up. They didn't care if their big boss would glare at them and looked at the pram excitedly. She was looking forward to hearing the little guy speak again. When the little guy woke up, would Big Boss carry him out? The 2-month-old baby wasn't big to begin with, and the pink pram could completely cover him. They stretched their necks for a long time, but they still couldn't see half a tuft of hair on the young master's head. They were so anxious. When Hu Chenhuan heard Zhuo Yanbai's words, she subconsciously turned her head to look. Sure enough, she saw that the little girl, who had been sleeping soundly, had woken up in a daze. Her small hands moved, and her eyes opened and closed for a while. This continued for a few times, as if she was adapting to the light from the outside world. Finally, the little guy was completely awake. His pair of big black grape-like eyes looked around. Perhaps because she realized that there was no one around, she felt a little scared and began to cry without warning. Wah! The childish cry instantly resounded throughout the entire office, and there were even some subtle echoes. All of a sudden, many people present were shocked. Hua Qinhuan's heart ached when she saw him cry. She reached out and took the baby out of the pram, coaxing him in a low voice, "Baby, don't be afraid. Daddy's here. Daddy's here." Everyone who witnessed the big boss coaxing the child in a soft voice was speechless. Oh my God, was this the cold-blooded demon king who could scare everyone to death with just a frown? Would they be able to walk out of the company alive today? Hua Qinhuan coaxed the baby for a while and found that he was still crying sadly. She frowned slightly and touched the baby's diaper as if she sensed something. Chapter 893. After clearly feeling the heavy weight, Hua Qinhuan stated expressionlessly, "He peed." After that, she left the dumbfounded crowd behind, got up, and left with the baby. Zhou Yanbai was the first to react. He suddenly stood up and said, "The meeting is suspended. I'll inform you of the meeting time later." Then, he hurriedly left after Hua Qinhuan. Yu Zian and Yu Zian realized what Zhou Yanbai wanted to do and couldn't sit still. No, they couldn't just let this cunning guy take advantage of them. They had to follow him. The two of them looked at each other, got up, and chased after him. A few seconds later, a slightly dazed voice sounded in the dead silent office. "Is the boss going to change the little prince's diaper?" As soon as this was said, the atmosphere in the office became stagnant again. It was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Pfft! After some time, someone couldn't help but laugh out loud. It was as if someone had pressed a switch, and the office was suddenly in an uproar. Before the big boss left, he did say that the little prince peed. It's very likely that the little prince was crying because he felt uncomfortable after peeing. If he wants to stop crying, he has to change his diaper. Can the big boss do it? Changing the little prince's diaper personally? I can't imagine it. He should be able to. Otherwise, why would the madam let the boss bring the little prince to the company alone? Although what you said makes sense, I still can't accept it. The big boss is actually changing the little prince's diaper personally. I suddenly want to see the big boss changing the little prince's diaper. It must be very exciting. Which brave comrade would dare to secretly take a picture of the big guy's wish? Secretly take a picture. I'm afraid he's not dying fast enough. Isn't it good to live well? Just now, I only took one more look at the big boss pushing the baby stroller. When the big boss looked at me, I wondered if I could see the sun tomorrow. That's why it's called risking your life. Do you dare say you don't want to see it? Actually, to be able to see the big boss change the little prince's diaper and take a look at the little prince's chubby butt, it's worth it even if it's risking my life. I'm just afraid that I'll be discovered before I even see it, and then there'll be a crack, and then. You actually want to see the little prince's butt, you perverted strange auntie. Humph, don't tell me you don't want to see it. I'll be honest, I want to, me too, ha 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 ha, I saw it when boss picked up little prince. The little prince's diaper actually has a pink piggy printed on it. I want to pat it. It's so cute, aren't the cat ears on the little prince's hoodie the most suffocating thing? I want to touch you. Usually, when I'm chatting with others, I feel like punching them when I see them crying. That is until I hear the little prince's cries. How fragrant. Fortunately, Su Yiyan was not present at the scene. Otherwise, she would have exploded on the spot if she saw the room full of weird uncles and aunties coveting her son's small buttocks and wanting to touch his buttocks and pat them. Zhou Yanbai caught up with Hua Qinhuan and asked with great enthusiasm and sincerity, "Do you need any help?" Hua Qinhuan looked at him suspiciously. "You know how to change diapers?" Zhou Yanbai was stunned. "Ah. I've seen people do it before. You've personally changed the baby. No. Huh, so, where did a newbie like you get the courage to think that you can help? Swa yen bai. Chapter 894. In the end, general managers will fail to get the lucrative job of changing the little guy's diaper. He was rejected by the child's father. At the same time, Yu Zian and Gu Xiaoyang rushed over and ridiculed general managers Hua. After that, there was an inevitable fight. Hua Qinhuan ignored the commotion outside. After laying out a soft towel and placing the baby on the flat table, she took out a diaper from the pink mother's bag and skillfully changed the baby. Just then, there was a sudden commotion outside the door. Is President Hua inside? Hearing this voice, Hua Qinhuan suddenly stopped what she was doing. Yes, but... Hey, President Su, you can't just go in like this. President Hua is... The secretary outside the office wanted to stop her, but she didn't dare to do so because of her status. With a bang, the door to Hua Qinhuan's office was opened from the outside. Su Yuxuan walked in at the front, followed by two secretaries and Zui Yanbai, who hadn't gone far. Hua Qinhuan had just put on a new diaper for the baby. Hearing the commotion, she looked up and glanced at everyone. She said coldly, "What's the matter?" The first to react was the secretary who tried to stop Su Yuxuan. President Hua, President Su is, ugh, before she could finish, Yu Zian covered her mouth. He, it's fine. We didn't see anything. Silly girl. President Su was the young master's brother-in-law. It was fine for him to barge in and see the young master changing the baby's diaper. Small fries like them didn't even have time to run. Why were they still complaining? Did they think they weren't cannon fodder fast enough? The group of people very sensibly scattered like birds and beasts, leaving the two adults alone with a child who couldn't even speak. Su Yuxuan glanced at the little one in Hua Qinhuan's arms, then looked at the old diapers that hadn't been cleaned up in time. She raised her eyebrows slightly. I heard from Yan Yan that you're bringing the child to work today. I didn't quite believe it, but I didn't expect it to be true. Hearing Su Yuxuan mention his wife, Hua Qinhuan's expression softened. Yan Yan told you. Who else could it be? Su Yuxuan swaggered to the sofa nearby and sat down. He said in a sarcastic tone, I can't believe that the president of the whole group would personally breastfeed and change a child's diapers. If this gets out, I'm afraid many people will laugh their heads off. Hua Qinhuan pretended not to hear the other party's sarcasm. She carried the child and sat opposite Su Yuxuan. She smiled faintly and said, as a parent, it's only meaningful to do everything personally. I'm afraid those who haven't been parents won't be able to understand this. Su Yuxuan's brother-in-law, who had never been a parent and didn't even have a partner, felt an arrow piercing his heart. It was very painful. Don't talk nonsense. Yan Yan didn't mention such a big thing because he was afraid that we'd be worried about it. But you didn't say anything either. Are you afraid that we'll get even with you? Hua Qinhuan's eyes flashed coldly. This was indeed my negligence. The same thing won't happen again. You said before that you wouldn't let Yan Yan suffer any harm from now on. What happened in the end? Su Yuxuan stared at Hua Qinhuan. His words were really aggressive. Didn't you think that you were lucky this time to find the child before it was stolen? If you reacted a little slower, or if the other party directly hurt the child to get revenge on you, what would Yan Yan do? Chapter 895. What would happen to Su Yiyan? The answer was obvious. This little guy was Su Yiyan's flesh and blood. If anything happened to him, it would be tantamount to stabbing a knife into Su Yiyan's heart. I didn't come here today to denounce you. I just want to know what you're going to do with the mastermind behind the scenes. Hua Qinhuan knew very well that since Su Yuxuan asked this question, he must already know who the mastermind behind the scenes was. I'll do what I have to do. Have you made up your mind? Of course, no one is more important than Yan Yan and the child. Su Yuxuan's expression became better. I'll remember your words. Hua Qinhuan looked up at him. The person has been found. Su Yuxuan was stunned. It took him a while to realize that Hua Qinhuan was talking about the mastermind. His eyes turned cold. He wanted to ask Hua Qinhuan why he didn't inform the police to arrest the person since he had already found the whereabouts of the person. Did he leave some leeway for the other party? But when the words reached his mouth, he swallowed them back. It was fine if some words were hinted vaguely, but if he really said it out loud, it was easy to cause conflict. Su Yuxuan gave Hua Qinhuan a fierce look. I'll trust you one more time. After that, he looked at his little nephew and said enviously, Can I hold him? Uncle wanted to hold his nephew. As his brother-in-law, Hua Qinhuan naturally had no reason to refuse. Without much hesitation, he handed his little son, who had returned to his well-behaved appearance after changing his diapers, to Su Yuxuan. This was the first time Su Yuxuan held the little guy in a long time. Before this, he had come to see his nephew many times, but almost every time, he was with Qing Shuqin. Two adults would fight to hold a child, let alone him, who was at the bottom of the food chain at home. Children have soft bones. You should support them here and here. Following Hua Qinhuan's instructions, Su Yuxuan carefully held the child in her arms. Little Xingxing seemed to have some impression of this uncle who had come to visit him several times. He stared at him with his big eyes for a while and suddenly laughed. Su Yuxuan's heart melted into a pool of water, and he was secretly excited. He was indeed the son of his baby sister. When he smiled, he was exactly the same as Yan Yan when he was a child. He was really a lovely baby. Su Yuxuan held the baby in her arms. She was happy and satisfied, but she didn't forget to insult Hua Qinhuan. You're quite knowledgeable about carrying babies. Practice makes perfect. Before I had children, I didn't feel it. After I had children, I wanted to hug them whenever I saw them. Naturally, I became familiar with them after a few times. When Hua Qinhuan said this, she glanced meaningfully at Su Yuxuan, as if to say, You're an unmarried single dog, so you won't understand. Su Yuxuan. So what if you have a wife? So what if you have a child? Reality proved that having a wife and a child really was amazing. He shouldn't have come here today to humiliate himself. Young Master Su, who had originally come to give a warning to a certain someone, but had instead been shown off in front of him, regretted it so much that his intestines almost turned green. The two adults and the child in the room had an undercurrent of tension. The atmosphere was so heavy that it seemed like they could start fighting at any time. However, in the eyes of others, this scene was completely different from what they had expected. At least, in Su Yiyan's eyes, the two people who were at daggers drawn and the little kid in his big brother's arms looked a bit like a family of three. Chapter 896. Su Yiyan was shocked by her own imagination. She coughed a few times with a glass of water in her hand. Plain young madam, what's this? Black man's question mark face. JPG, bouncing you along, President Su just came to the company to look for young master. Plain young madam, my brother went to your company. Su Yiyan was shocked. No wonder her brother said last night that he would see the baby in the morning or in the afternoon. When he heard that Hua Qinhuan was going to take the baby to the company today, he immediately changed his mind. So that's what he was waiting for. Plain young madam, they didn't fight, did they? Serious little Yang, no. President Su and our young master are quite harmonious. They seemed to be discussing how to breastfeed the baby. Su Yiyan. Of all things, the two men were discussing how to breastfeed the baby. No, she couldn't think about it anymore. The more she thought about it, the more she felt like they were a family of three. Su Yiyan tried hard to drive out the wild imagination in her mind. Plain young madam, please keep an eye on them. Don't let them fight. I'm going to do a barbecue live stream this weekend. I hope you can do me the honor of joining us. I want to thank you for taking care of Chinhuan during my pregnancy. Zhou Yanbai and the others didn't expect to receive such benefits. They were a little dizzy from the pie that fell from the sky. It took them a while to come back to their senses. Each of them was more excited than the other. Jumping Yu Hualong, really? I'll definitely go. Serious little Yang Yang, I'll definitely be there that day. Thank you, young madam. Conscientious Swazwazwa, this is what we should do. Well, what's barbecue? Bouncing Yu Hualong, who cares what it is? As long as it's made by young madam, it must be delicious. As a qualified young madam bragger, Yu Zian firmly believed that as long as Su Yiyan could bring out something good, it would definitely be delicious. Plain young madam, barbecue is a cooking method that puts food on a rack and roasts it. The things roasted are mixed, both meat and vegetables. You can eat them while roasting. I don't know the specifics, but you'll know when the time comes. After hearing what she said, Zhou Yanbai and the others were even more tempted. They couldn't wait to gather at the family hut tomorrow, since it was the weekend. Su Yiyan did not know about their ambitions. She looked at the people in the group who were discussing the barbecue arrangements for the weekend in full swing even though they did not know anything. The corners of her lips curled up slightly and she did not interrupt. Just then, a piece of news popped up on the page. Ding Juesi came to the rescue of a female artist who was being harassed on the way. He took stock of those female artists who were being followed by illegitimate fans. This piece of news wasn't eye-catching at first glance, but Su Yiyan's sharp eyes noticed that the picture accompanying the news seemed to be Wen Jingping. Su Yiyan took a closer look and found that the female artist mentioned in the news who was followed by an unceasing fan and almost had an accident was indeed Wen Jingping. This was somewhat thought-provoking. Was Wen Jingping now famous enough to have her own illegitimate fans? Su Yiyan didn't think so. It could be seen from the title of the news. The male artist who saved the damsel in distress directly named her. Wen Jingping, the victim, was only labeled as a female artist. If it weren't for the picture, most people wouldn't be able to figure out who this female artist was. It could be seen that in the eyes of the media, Wen Jingping's name wasn't as popular as a female artist's name. It was pitifully shabby. Chapter 897. No matter what, Su Yiyan felt that it was only right for her to get someone to investigate this matter since the original female lead had stirred up trouble again. As a result, the investigation led to Hu Xiaofeng. Hu Xiaofeng. Su Yiyan was astonished. What does this have to do with Hu Xiaofeng? Could it be that he was the one who sent people to look for Wen Jingping? Xia Junxing held the investigation report from Yu Zian and the others and nodded. That's right. Why? From the information, Hu Xiaofeng probably bribed these people to defile Wen Jingping. Defile? That was a serious word. In the original work, this was the ultimate couple in terms of sweetness. Were they now so disgusted with each other that they wanted nothing more than to tear each other to shreds? As if seeing Su Yiyan's confusion, Xia Junxing coughed lightly and explained, actually, it's not that hard to understand. A man who has been cuckolded has his self-esteem hurt. Seeing the woman who used to belong to him fall into the arms of another man, he hates her as much as he liked her in the beginning. Also, he probably thinks that this kind of woman is too fickle. Since she was so fickle and couldn't move once she saw a man, he might as well find a few men to satisfy her. It could also be considered as helping him vent his anger. Su Yiyan was only surprised for a moment. After all, when Hu Xiaofeng personally came to negotiate with them, he said that he wanted to destroy Wen Jingping's reputation. She just didn't expect that Hu Xiaofeng would be so ruthless, directly making people. Have those people been caught? No, and judging from Hai Yi's actions, it seems that they don't intend to pursue this matter. Su Yiyan only needed to ponder for a moment before she could roughly guess what was going on. Pursue what? If you can find out, why can't Hai Yi find out? If this matter is really investigated, Wen Jingping and Hu Xiaofeng's disgraceful past will definitely be dug up. At that time, the public will not feel sorry for her, the victim. If the investigation continued and the truth was exposed, this matter would change from an extreme sightseeing fan chasing after a female celebrity to a female celebrity cheating on him, and the ex-boyfriend's love turned into hatred and revenge. Before Xia Junxing came back with the information, Su Yiyan took the time to look at the comments on the internet. It was a mix of good and bad. The good ones were naturally praising the man for his noble character. On the other hand, the bad ones were basically scolding Wen Jingping for attracting bees and butterflies and for reaping what she sowed. There were even a few keyboard warriors with discerning eyes who inadvertently peeked at a corner of the truth. Who knew if this so-called sightseeing fan was a self-directed act, or if she was caught cheating on a few men at one time and got caught? Just as Xia Junxing had said, Wen Jingping's actions had already left Hu Xiaofeng and even the public with the label of a fickle woman. In this era where girls who wore miniskirts would have male chauvinism and deliberately seduce men, Wen Jingping was precisely the target of most people's criticism. Take today's matter for example. If it had happened to other female celebrities, although there would be some people who were cynical, most people would still be kind to the victim and feel sorry for her. Wen Jingping was different. The person who scolded her the most fiercely was the male celebrity who had saved her. These fans praised their brother's noble character, handsome, and kind heart, wishing that they could praise him to the heavens. On the other hand, they were crazily trampling on Wen Jingping. They thought that this woman didn't deserve to ride on their brother's popularity and even dragged down their brother because of her bad reputation. Chapter 898. If Wen Jingping had any self-awareness, she would have stayed away from her brother. Otherwise, there would be no need for those keyboard warriors. They would be the first to curse at her and send her to be scolded by Zhu Onghua every day. Although there were some people who tried to lead the topic to the illegitimate fans, there were not as many people who were sarcastic. Once the truth was made public, the few people who spoke up for Wen Jingping would probably change sides. It would be very miserable. What's the background of this Ding Jueisi? Su Yiyan felt that the name sounded familiar, but she couldn't remember it at the moment. Ding Jueisi is an old actor in Hai Yi. He's in his early 30s. He's a professional actor. Although he's not as popular as the current celebrities, he has many die-hard fans because of his acting skills. Moreover, he was born as a child actor. In terms of seniority, he can be considered a senior among the younger generation. Senior. Su Yiyan's mind lit up. She seemed to have caught onto something. Yes, Wen Jingping's accident happened to be near the set of his new movie. He might have just finished filming and was about to go back when he coincidentally bumped into Wen Jingping. Coincidental. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and chuckled. It might not be a coincidence. Now that Xia Junxing mentioned it, Su Yiyan finally remembered who this person was. Among the backup male supporting characters in the original novel, Ding Jueisi was probably the one who had the least sense of presence and basically didn't have any scenes. There was no other reason than that he was married. He was a married man with a son and a daughter. Ding Jueisi and his wife were high school classmates. They fell in love in university and got married without any setbacks after graduation. According to the usual routine, the female lead in a romance novel could flirt with high-quality men everywhere and make the male lead jealous. However, the male lead couldn't flirt with anyone and had to keep his chastity for the female lead. Otherwise, it would definitely attract the condemnation of the clean party. It was fine to use a mature man like Ding Juesi, who was almost 10 years older than the female lead and had a wife and a child, to show off the female lead's charm. However, it was impossible for him to be the male lead. In addition, if Su Yiyan remembered correctly, Ding Juesi's wife seemed to be a young lady from a rich family. When she married him back then, she was already considered to have married down. After more than 10 years of relationship, she even gave birth to a son and a daughter for him. Even if the readers imagine that Wen Jinping, the female lead, enjoys the pursuit and love of a married man, they have to admit that he is a scumbag. A male supporting character who wasn't very popular in any aspect had suddenly disappeared as the author was writing. He was basically a flash in the pan and didn't have much of a presence. But now, Hu Xiaofeng, the original male lead, Ning Qiruei and Luo Weibing, who were popular in the original novel, had either turned against Wen Jinping or been intercepted by Su Yiyan halfway. Even Dou Tianyi, the villain in the original novel, seemed to be very cold to her. When Wen Jinping met Ding Juesi at this time, she didn't know if the two of them would have any chemistry different from the original novel. Not a coincidence. Didn't Hai Yi's drama finish filming long ago? What is Wen Jinping doing near the crew? From the information, it seems that she is going for an audition. Xia Junqing suddenly realized. You suspect that the crew she is going to audition for is Ding Juesi's. Can it be so coincidental? Su Yiyan didn't dare to say if other people would do it, but if it was Wen Jinping, it might not be impossible. As the female lead of the world, even if she didn't have most of the halo, she still had some luck. Whether it is or not, she is going for an audition anyway. I just don't know if Mr. Ding will help her to the end and help her to the end. Chapter 899. In the original work, Wen Jinping and Ding Juesi only came into contact in the later stages. At that time, Wen Jinping was already famous in the industry, and the two of them got to know each other because of a small accident. The difference was that in the original work, Wen Jinping helped Ding Juesi with a small favor and gained Ding Juesi's favor. After that, Ding Juesi returned the favor and recommended Wen Jinping to join the cast of the new drama as an important female supporting role. Wen Jinping relied on this role to reach a higher level in her career and fame. Ding Juesi also secretly had feelings for Wen Jinping during the process of getting along with her in the crew. To a certain extent, he mentally cheated on her. Now, the situation of the two of them was completely reversed. The one who helped was Ding Juesi, and the one who was helped was Wen Jinping. It was unknown if Ding Juesi would still recommend Wen Jinping to join the cast like in the original work. Even if Ding Juesi really did so, the current Wen Jinping was neither famous nor popular. Could she really get an important role in the original work if she joined the cast? Get people to keep an eye on them, especially get people to investigate what resources Wen Jinping has recently received and whether these resources are related to Ding Juesi. Of course, it would be even better if we can take some intimate photos related to them. Xia Junqing was shocked when he heard her words. You suspect that she and Ding Juesi, what does it matter if it's true? With her reputation, even if it's an accident, many people will let their imaginations run wild. Didn't you see how fiercely Ding Juesi's fans scolded her when he saved her? Su Yiyan raised the corners of her eyes slightly and revealed a mocking look. We didn't wrongly accuse her. If there's really a situation, we'll take photos. If there isn't, then forget it. Ding Juesi's wife has been with him for more than 10 years and even gave birth to a son and a daughter for him. If he was so easily seduced by Wen Jinping, it can only be said that his wife was entrusted to the wrong person. More than 10 years of my youth have been fed to the dogs, and in the end, I still have to be kept in the dark, working hard for him without complaint, taking care of the house and taking care of the children. If it were you, would you pretend that you didn't know anything and just muddle through, or would you hope that a kind-hearted person who couldn't stand it would inform you earlier so that you could cut your losses in time? Xia Junqing choked. If it were him, he would naturally hope that it was the latter. No, that's not right. Why would a single dog like him need to think about such things? If he had to choose, he would definitely choose neither of them. He would work hard to find a partner who would never betray him. Xia Junqing realized that he had been led into a trap by Su Yiyan. He pushed up his glasses and said seriously, "I understand. I'll get someone to keep an eye on them." Su Yiyan didn't want to use malicious eyes to speculate about people she didn't know, but with the lessons learned from the original work, she had to be on guard. If Mr. Ding behaved himself, she would let it go. She did not have the hobby of ruining people's families. But if someone took things too hard and wanted to court death, she could not be blamed. Hua Qihan thought that the time when he was driven out of the Hua family was the most difficult time in his life. Unexpectedly, only a few months later, he was slapped in the face again. On the day when the family Hua servants stole the children, Hua Qihan waited for a long time for someone to bring the children over. He immediately realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly asked Shuai Xiao to pack up the valuables and prepared to take them out to hide. As a result, when the two of them rushed to the airport with big and small bags, they were scared back by a group of people who had been waiting at the airport in advance. It was impossible to go back to their original place of residence. Hua Qihan made a prompt decision to take Shuai Xiao to hide in the remote suburbs. Chapter 900. Hua Qihan had a lot of properties under his name, but during the time when he was driven out of the Hua family, he had discounted a lot in order to maintain his high expenses. Moreover, during this sensitive period, hiding in a house under his name was tantamount to walking into a trap. However, most people like them would leave a few backup plans for themselves just in case. Hua Qihan first took Shuai Xiao to a small two-story bungalow with a courtyard in the suburbs, which he had transferred to her name because she was pregnant. As a result, less than a day after they settled down, they heard the siren of a police car from a distance that night. They were so scared that they got up, picked up their things and ran away. After that, they didn't dare to run to the properties under their names. They only hid here and there, looking for houses to rent, and ran to the dilapidated slums. They thought that as long as they hid in a place where good people mingled with bad people, the police wouldn't be able to find them in a short time. As a result, they were discovered not long after they arrived at a place. They ran away, were discovered, ran away again, and were discovered again. After several times, Hua Qihan's mood had long been on the verge of collapse. Damn it, why are these people like dog skin plasters? I can't tear them off. Hearing the familiar siren again, Hua Qihan rushed out of the bathroom without wearing his pants. His face was full of anger, and he couldn't wait to rush out and fight with the police. It was impossible to fight. Shuai Xiaoyu seemed to be used to this kind of torment. He quickly packed up his things and took Hua Qihan's hand, saying, "Don't be impulsive. Where there is life, there is hope. If you're caught by them now, we'll really have no hope left." Hua Qihan's face looked a little better after being persuaded by her. He held Shuai Xiao and left the temporarily rented house before the police came. They ran out in the middle of the night and didn't even have a place to stay. Generally, in a bigger and safer hotel, they had to use their ID cards to get a room, so they didn't dare to go there. In the end, in order not to live on the street and compete with those tramps, they had to enter a particularly shabby hotel. Not only did they spend a lot of money, but the room was also very simple. The walls were yellow, the curtains were old, and even the quilt they were going to cover tonight smelled damp and rotten. Hua Qihan had never suffered like this before. As soon as he entered the room, his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Shueshao saw his pale face and knew that he was angry. He sighed and comforted him. The conditions here are not good. But it's a special time. Let's bear with it. Once you get past this hurdle, you'll slowly get better. Hua Qihan looked at the woman who had been by his side for the past few days. His heart, which had been filled with anger and unwillingness, could not help but soften a little. He reached out and pulled her into his embrace. Touched, he said, I've wronged you. Shueshao buried herself in his arms and replied in a muffled voice, No, it's nothing as long as I can be with you. Hua Qihan was even more moved when he heard this. Who would have thought that the high-spirited person in charge of the Hua group 2 years ago would not only lose his company 2 years later, but also turn against his wife and children. Even those partners who used to call him brothers and flatter him would kick him when he was down and shut him out. The only one who stayed by his side and was dead set on him was this little woman who was his mistress on a whim. Hua Qihan was disappointed and resentful. He solemnly promised Shueshao, I promise, as long as we get through this difficulty, I will marry you and treat you wholeheartedly for the rest of my life. Chapter 901. Yes. Shueshao answered in a low voice and buried her face more tightly in Hua Qihan's arms. Hua Qihan only thought that she was moved by his promise and did not think much about it. They stayed in this dark and damp room for 3 days. Hua Qihan had a hard time during these 3 days. The place where they lived had a musty smell. The nutrient solution sent to them was of the cheapest and inferior quality, and it had an expired smell. Hua Qihan was a real hedonist. His 3 meals a day were either cooked by the private chef at home or by the chef of a high-end restaurant. Then they would be sent to his company. He hardly touched nutrient solution. Even if he had to drink it, he would definitely choose the most expensive one. For this reason, Hua Qihan almost broke out on the spot and had a conflict with the hotel owner. In the end, Shueshao persuaded him with a lot of good words. The only fortunate thing was that the 3 days in this shabby hotel were the safest 3 days for Hua Qihan since the accident. Just when Hua Qihan thought that this shabby hotel could really hide from the police officers who were searching everywhere outside and that he only needed to endure for a few more days to avoid the limelight and leave this place, a team of law enforcement officers suddenly appeared at the door of their room and broke in without warning. This completely shattered Hua Qihan's luck and hope. Don't move. Raise your hands. Hua Qihan opened his eyes wide and looked at this scene in disbelief. You're finally here. Shueshao heard the movement and came out of the bathroom with a relaxed and happy smile on her face. Hua Qihan was stunned for a few seconds before he realized what she meant. He was shocked, frightened, and angry. You? It's you. Yes, it's me. Shueshao finally showed her true colors at this moment. She looked at Hua Qihan indifferently with some disgust and hatred. You are a bitch. The string in Hua Qihan's mind finally broke. He ignored the people at the door who were staring at him covetously. He roared and rushed toward Shueshao and grabbed her neck. The people outside the door hurried forward to help. A group of people dragged Hua Qihan and even punched him several times before they could separate him from Shueshao. Cough cough, cough cough cough. Shueshao held the yellowed wall with one hand and coughed so hard that his eyes turned red. There was a large red handprint on her fair neck. It was obvious that Hua Qihan had used all his strength just now and really wanted to strangle her to death. You bitch. Even you betrayed me. You liar, slut, whore. Hua Qihan cursed and spat out all kinds of vulgar words, but Shueshao's face was cold from beginning to end. She was abnormally calm. When he was tired of scolding, he faintly spat out a sentence, I was never one of your people, how can I betray you? What? Hua Qihan suddenly stopped struggling. Just as he was about to ask Xue Xiao who was her subordinate, she asked coldly, "Do you still remember the piece of land in Yuvan Square 10 years ago?" 10 years ago. Hua Qihan looked confused, as if he couldn't remember what Xue Xiao was talking about. Xue Xiao looked at Hua Qihan's blank face, which didn't seem to be fake. The pretended indifference and coldness on her face completely cracked because of Hua Qihan's reaction. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 902. Her arrogant and sharp laughter reverberated in the empty room. As she laughed, tears fell from her eyes. You don't remember. You don't remember. With tears on her face, Xue Xiaoyu stared at Hua Qihan with red eyes, like a devil who had crawled back from hell. It doesn't matter, as long as I remember. 10 years ago, there was a major safety accident in Yuvan Square. My father, my mother, and my sister, 3 lives, I remember them all. The reason why I have lived to this day without dignity is that I want you to pay for what you have done. When Hua Qihan heard Xue Xiaoyu's words, something seemed to flash through his mind. His face suddenly turned pale, and he looked at Xue Xiaoyu with a little more fear and panic. Su Yiyan and Xue Xiaoyu knew about Hua Qihan's arrest as soon as they found out about it. Caught. So soon, you took action. You can say so, but you can also say no. Su Yiyan turned to look at him. What do you mean? The person who leaked his whereabouts was his little lover. She was also the one who secretly tipped off the police. Hua Qihan's little lover. Su Yiyan blinked. You mean the mistress who had a miscarriage before? It's her. But why? Doesn't Hua Qihan love her very much? When he ran away, he took her with him. This is true love. If a man killed all your relatives except you, and only treated you like a kitten or a puppy for 1 or 2 years, would you fall in love with him? Of course not. Su Yiyan realized something was wrong when she was about to say it. Do you mean that Hua Qihan is his lover's enemy? Hua Qinhuan looked at her with a faint smile and did not speak. Wait, let me take a break. Su Yiyan held her forehead and tried to digest this shocking news. A person like Hua Qihan would never keep someone by his side knowing that they have a grudge against him. So, could it be that she got close to Hua Qihan because, when Su Yiyan said this, she subconsciously glanced at her man and saw that he still had a knowing smile on his face. She seemed to realize something and said, You already knew. Yes. Then she was pregnant with Hua Qihan's child before. Wait a minute. Su Yiyan raised the corners of her eyes slightly, and her expression was subtle. Could it be that her child isn't Hua Qihan's? It was one thing for the son to be cheated on, but the father was also cheated on. TSK, this family was really, it's his. It's his. Su Yiyan was stunned. Aren't they enemies? How did she? She didn't give birth. What? Hua Qinhuan stared into Su Yiyan's eyes and said word by word, she didn't give birth. Su Yiyan suddenly understood something and her heart trembled. From the beginning, she didn't intend to give birth to this child. Yes. Su Yiyan could not accept the fact that a woman would betray herself for revenge, but she would even use the child in her womb for her own benefit. It was too cruel, but at the same time, it also made people feel her strong hatred for Hua Qihan. Su Yiyan paused for a while before asking the biggest question in her heart at the moment. What did Hua Qihan do to make her hate him so much? I just said that Hua Qihan indirectly forced everyone in her family to death except for her. Hua Qinhuan paused and her eyes were slightly cold. Her father, mother, and her biological sister who had just reached adulthood at that time. Chapter 903. Su Yiyan's face changed slightly. After a long silence, she asked, because of what? A piece of land. A piece of land. Su Yiyen frowned slightly. What land? Yuban Square in the south of the city. Have you heard of it? Su Yiyen pondered for a moment and nodded. I know. I went there with Xiaoqi before. That square was renovated by the Huo Group. 10 years ago, it was originally a large open space. Su Yiyen pursed her lips and asked tentatively, what's wrong with this piece of land? Since you have been there with your friends, you should know that the land is located in the central area of the south of the city. It has a good geographical location and a large flow of people. It is now a square, but in fact, the land was originally intended to be used to build an office building. Office building? Su Yiyen was a little surprised. How did it become a square later? Because of a well-planned accident. A well-planned accident. Hua Qihan did it. Yes. Hua Qinhuan received his wife's shocked and curious little eyes. His eyes darkened slightly and he explained, at that time, Hua Qihan had just taken over the Huo Group. His foundation was not stable, and he urgently needed to do something to convince his subordinates. So, he set his eyes on this piece of land. Yes. Unfortunately, he was one step late. This piece of land had already been bought by an investment trademark surnamed Shui. Surnamed Shui. Su Yiyen looked at Hua Qinhuan inquiringly. Is it? Yes, this investor surnamed Shui is Shui Xiaoyu's father. Su Yiyen's eyes flashed slightly, and she instantly grasped the key point. What did Hua Qihan do to get this piece of land? He bribed several purchasing workers at the construction site and mixed some defective products into the raw materials used for construction. He cut corners. Su Yiyen's heart thumped. It was really heartless to play tricks on this kind of thing. If they were not careful, they might have to accept their fate. And then, not long after, the construction site collapsed. 7 people were crushed under the collapsed ruins. 3 died and 4 were injured. Su Yiyen's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, he really deserves to die. He does deserve to die, but that's not all he's done. Hua Qinhuan paused, and a chill flashed through her eyes. After the accident, Hua Qihan bribed some senior executives in Shui Xiaoqi's company who had long been dissatisfied with Shui Xiaoqi's father. They joined forces with the media to frame Shui Xiaoqi's father, and even instigated the families of the workers who died or were injured in the accident to make trouble. At that time, all the evidence pointed to Shui Xiaofeng's father, and the public opinion was very unfavorable to him. The stock price of Shui Xiao's father's company plummeted. His partners withdrew their investment, and the capital chain was broken. Finally, he had to file for bankruptcy and sell his family property to repay the huge debt. Speaking of this, Hua Qinhuan looked up at Su Yiyen and told her the final ending of Shui Xiao's family after this vicious and cruel business game. After the company went bankrupt, Shui Xiaoqi's father died on the spot in a car accident because he didn't sleep or rest for several days. Shui Xiaoqi's mother fell ill after hearing the bad news. She didn't have the money to treat her illness, so she died soon after, leaving Shui Xiaoqi and his sister to depend on each other. Shui Xiaoqi's sister's situation is a little special. She is a little girl. A little girl. Then she jumped off a building. Su Yiyen was shocked. She jumped off a building. Hua Qinhuan looked at her deeply and said in a low voice, yes. Chapter 904. Most of the children were unsociable, and afraid of people. They needed more companionship and care from their family. Shui Xiao's parents were very loving. They loved their little daughter who was different from other children since she was a child. Shui Xiao was nearly 10 years younger than her sister. When her sister was born, she already knew something. She was not dissatisfied with the new member of the family because of her parents' love for her sister. Instead, she knew how to protect her sister since she was a child. However, such a harmonious and happy family died because of Hua Qihan's selfishness. Shuo Xiao was the only one left in the family. At that time, Shuo Xiao had to deal with her father's funeral and take care of her sick mother. She didn't take care of her sister. Hua Qinhuan paused. Her sister jumped off the building on the day of her mother's death. It was the unfinished building that her father bought, but the construction was suspended because of a construction accident. She jumped off the dozens of meters high empty building without any hesitation. She took away a fresh life and the last trace of warmth in Shuo Xiao's heart. Although Su Yiyan had known that their family was miserable in advance, her heart still trembled when she heard this. The head of the family died suddenly. Her mother died of illness because she had no money to treat her illness. Even the only remaining family member, she must hate him very much. How could she not hate him? Yes, how could she not hate him? To fall apart just like that, with their family broken up and their people dead, who could bear it? She hated him so much, but she became his lover. Maybe it's because she didn't care about it anymore. Su Yiyan felt bad when she heard this. That was why people said that the barefoot were not afraid of the shoes. People who had nothing could even sacrifice their lives, let alone these things. In their eyes, they were just walking corpses. They had nothing to lose. They persisted until now because they were not willing to die like this. The person who caused their tragedy was living a better life than anyone else. I hope that after this, she can find a place where no one knows her and start over again. If her parents were still alive, they wouldn't want her to ruin her life because of hatred. Hearing her words, Hua Qinhuan knew that she had compassion for Shuo Xiao. After a moment of silence, she asked in a low voice, "Do you want to see her?" "Why would I want to see him?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh. Originally, he was just a person who lived in the news. It was strange for him to suddenly run over to meet him at this time. She is indeed pitiful, but since she can make such a decision and risk herself, I think she doesn't need other people's sympathy. Speaking of this, Su Yiyan turned to look at Hua Qinhuan and chuckled. What we can do for him is to make Hua Qihan's crime more serious. It's best if he can get the retribution he deserves. It can also be considered as a way to comfort those who have been hurt by him. Hua Qinhuan hugged Su Yiyan's waist from behind and buried his head in her neck. At that time, the reason why he had a little bit of compassion for Shuo Xiao was that she was a little similar to him at that time. Once upon a time, he also felt that he had lost everything. His loving parents and complete family were all broken up overnight. At that time, he also had an extreme idea. He wanted to destroy the world and drag everyone down with him. Fortunately, he still wanted her. Fortunately, they were all right now. Chapter 905. Hua Qihan was finally arrested, and Su Yiyan was finally able to completely relax after a few days. In order to celebrate the fact that this scourge would no longer be able to cause any more trouble, and to thank her family and friends for their care and concern during her pregnancy, Su Yiyan decided to hold a lively barbecue party at home. Barbecue was not difficult to make as long as the ingredients were prepared in advance, so it was very suitable for a group meal. Today, in addition to Gu Xiaoyang and the others, Su Yiyan also invited Ling Xiaoqi and the Lan family. Naturally, the Su family was not left out. When Qing Shuqin heard that his little grandson had almost been stolen, he wanted to come over in a hurry. Later, when he heard that the child had been taken to the company by Hua Qinhuan, his eldest son personally went to Hua Qinhuan's company to take a few videos of his little grandson sleeping. He finally settled down. When they heard that Su Yiyan was going to hold a barbecue party at home, the family of three ran over before dawn. They held the little boy and refused to let go of him. Su Yiyan knew that she was in the wrong for not telling them about this before. She touched her nose guiltily and did not want to fight with them. Fortunately, not long after, the others rushed over one after another. Seeing that there were outsiders present, Qing Shuqin and the others did not want to pursue this matter in front of others. They glared at Su Yiyan and did not mention it again. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief and secretly gave a thumbs up to these saviors in her heart. However, when she saw Ling Xiaoqi and Ning Xiyuan who came together, she could not help but twitch the corners of her mouth. Ling Xiaoqi, you've gone too far. Su Yiyan put her hands on her hips and looked at the group of people of all sizes. She almost laughed out of anger. Previously, when you attended my baby's 1-month-old birthday party, I didn't say anything about you because you brought a family member. Today, he even brought the dogs with him, and a bunch of them. That's right, Ling Xiaoqi had also brought along Hua Hua. Besides Hua Hua, there were also the 2 puppies that Hua Hua had given birth to. The puppy that Su Yiyan had been very fond of, Little Curly Hair, who had been snatched away halfway. When Su Yiyan saw Little Curly Hair, he thought, look at how much this curly hair resembles his Dun-Dun. Back then, she liked this one the most. In the end, it was given away by Ling Xiaoqi as a token of love. In the end, her dog was gone, and so was her sister-in-law. Now, looking at the 2 of them walking over side by side with the 3 dogs, they looked like a family of 5. Su Yiyan felt that his mentality had collapsed. What happened to the dog? Ling Xiaoqi wasn't happy to hear her say that. Don't forget, who was the one who impregnated our Hua Hua? Our poor Hua Hua is only a 1-year-old puppy. Not only did she get pregnant at such a young age, but now even the puppies she gave birth to are despised. Public morals are really degenerating day by day. People's hearts are not what they used to be. Do you even have a heart? Su Yiyan listened to Ling Xiaoqi's righteous criticism, and the corners of her mouth twitched even more. She had only said a few words, and she was already defending her. In the past, she only knew that this little girl was a drama queen, but she hadn't expected her to be such a drama queen. The most important thing was that she had forgotten her friends in the face of lust. Su Yiyan opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but a cheerful figure rushed out with a whoosh and pounced on the lazy Hua Hua in front of Ling Xiaoqi. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof. There was a moment of awkwardness between the 2 of them. Ling Xiaoqi spread her hands at Su Yiyan with a look that said, see, I brought my Hua Hua here not for myself, but for your little perverted puppy. You still have the cheek to criticize me. Don't you feel guilty? Chapter 906. Su Yiyan stared at his dog, who kept rubbing against Hua Hua like a small rice cake. Even after being suppressed by force several times, it still didn't change its nature of being a bootlicker. It shamelessly went over to lick Hua Hua's fur. He felt that his face had been thrown into outer space. You little puppy, can't you save some face for your master? Su Yiyan was so angry that he wanted to beat the dog. Just then, the Lan family arrived. Only Yan Xiaoran, Lan Jiaye, and the Lan family's baby came. The baby was a few months older than little Xingxing. He was soft and white like a glutinous rice ball, and was very likable. You're here. Just the 2 of you. Yan Xiaoran carried the baby and explained with a faint smile, Grandpa and the rest are old and don't like to move much, so they didn't come. As for Mom and Dad, they said that since it's a gathering organized by youngsters, it's mostly youngsters. Since they're here, everyone won't be able to relax, so they won't join in. Although Father Lan and Mother Lan were of the same generation as Hu Chenhuan, they were almost 2 generations older than them. Just as Yan Xiaoran said, the people who came were all youngsters. There was a generation gap between them and middle-aged people like them. They couldn't chat or play together. If they came, everyone might be more restrained in the presence of the elders, and it would be a waste of everyone's mood. As for Minghan, something came up at the company, so he went to deal with it. He might be a little late. It's fine, it's fine. It's still early. When he comes, I'll probably just finish packing. Let's go in and sit for a while. I'll go make some soup first. You can drink it when you're tired of the barbecue. Okay. Yan Xiaoran nodded and walked in with the baby. Lan Jiaye followed behind her, looking at her with a complicated gaze. There was even a hint of sadness in his hesitation. Su Yiyan felt goosebumps all over his body. He asked, Are you okay? Before he could finish his sentence, Lan Jiaye's face turned pale. He turned around and ran away. Su Yiyan. No, what was going on? Was she some kind of scourge? Why did she run away without saying anything? Was she that scary? This interlude did not last long. After all, Su Yiyan still had to prepare a few Chinese medicinal herbs and ingredients for the live stream later. For the time being, she did not have the mood to explore the twists and turns in someone's heart. She thought that after Lan Jiaye left, she would have to at least wait until she was done with her work for the day before she could talk to him again. Unexpectedly, just 5 minutes after Su Yiyan entered the kitchen, she prepared all the ingredients needed to make soup. Just as she was about to start the live broadcast, a certain someone eagerly followed her. Why are you here? You scared me. Su Yiyan turned her head and saw Lan Jiaye standing at the kitchen door, staring at her. His elusive manner was comparable to that of a ghost. She shuddered in fear. Lan Jiaye stared at Su Yiyan for a while, then asked excitedly and nervously, Auntie, you're the host, right? Su Yiyan was startled. Had she accidentally exposed herself? Did she have to be so caught off guard? Lan Jiaye saw that Su Yiyan did not say anything, but he seemed to already have an answer. You're the host, right? I should have known. I should have realized. It was so obvious. My brother and sister-in-law could tell. I call myself the host's die-hard fan, but I didn't realize it at all. On the day of the medicinal cuisine restaurant's opening, and the gift you gave to my grandfather on his birthday. You guys are too much. You, my brother, and sister-in-law all knew, but you didn't tell me. Chapter 907. The young master, who had been spoiled since he was a child, had not even had the chance to experience the harsh beatings of society before he was beaten by his family. That was when he learned how evil people could be. Everyone knew Su Yiyan's identity. They knew that he was a loyal fan of the streamer and had been looking forward to meeting her in person one day. Yet, no one was willing to remind him or tell him anything. They just watched as he was played in circles. Lan Jiaye felt as if he had been wronged like a dog that weighed a few 100 pounds. His gaze toward Su Yiyan was filled with uncontrollable grief and sadness. Su Yiyan felt like a heartless man who had abandoned her after having sex with her. The corner of her mouth could not help but twitch. This development wasn't right. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't one be especially excited when they suddenly found out that the person they had always wanted to meet was right next to them? Why did the one in front of her look so angry instead? Cough, cough. Calm down first. Before Su Yiyan could finish, Lan Jiaye had already cut her off. So, are you the streamer? I am. Ow wow. The tears that Lan Jiaye had been holding back for a long time flowed down like a broken faucet. His howls were earth-shattering and earth-shattering. Even Dun Dun, who had been circling around Hua Hua, ran over when it heard his cries. It circled Lan Jiaye in circles as if it was wondering what was going on with this two-legged beast that could make the same sounds as them. Could it be that they were of the same kind? Hua Hua saw Dundan's silly look from afar and almost wrote the word idiot on its cat face. Lan Jiaye was also a little confused by this fat dog that had appeared out of nowhere. His cries had finally stopped. Su Yiyen saw this and coughed lightly. She took the initiative to ask, "How did you find out? Did your brother and sister-in-law tell you?" Lan Jiaye's face fell when he heard that. He looked at Su Yiyen even more sadly. "If they had told me, I wouldn't be so depressed." "Then how did you know?" Indeed, Lan Jiaye did not think in that direction at first. That was until Su Yiyen's last live stream, when one of the live stream's images was captured on Su Yiyen's hand, and the wedding ring on Su Yiyen's hand was captured. At that time, Lan Jiaye felt that the ring looked familiar, but when he wanted to look at it again, the camera had already turned elsewhere. If it were any other time, he would have missed such a small detail. At most, Lan Jiaye would think that he had seen wrongly and wouldn't look into it. However, perhaps because he wanted to find Su Yiyen so badly, after the live stream ended that day, Lan Jiaye found that short recording and watched it back and forth a dozen times before he finally confirmed that he had seen the ring before. However, even though he had seen it before, he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. That was until he accidentally heard his sister-in-law mention that Su Yiyen and Hu Qinhuan's wedding ring was custom-made. Not only was it beautiful, but it also had a special meaning. Unlike her and his brother, who had only bought a pair of vegetarian rings when they got married. It couldn't be any better to say that it was simple and generous. They really didn't have any romantic cells. It was this unintentional remark that made Lan Jiaye's mind flash. He finally remembered who he had seen the ring on. Many things were originally blinded by a single leaf. If you didn't think in that direction, you would turn a blind eye to it. However, once you found the key to Pandora's box, you would find the things that you had overlooked in the past one by one. At first, I was just guessing. I ran to ask my sister-in-law and brother, but they only smiled at me slyly. They didn't say yes or no. Chapter 908. The corner of Su Yiyen's mouth twitched slightly. That was something the two of them would do. They had promised not to reveal her identity, but they didn't want to lie to their loved ones. The best way was to stay silent and pretend to be dead. However, in Lan Jiaye's eyes, their actions were no different from tacit agreement. If they didn't say anything, I didn't dare to jump to conclusions. Until I came to your house today. When Lan Jiaye said this, he subconsciously looked up at Su Yiyen, and his eyes became more and more sorrowful. The streamer announced yesterday that she was going to have a barbecue live stream today. Barbecue was something that could be seen from the reactions of Gu Xiaoyang and Su Yiyen when Su Yiyen mentioned it. Other than Su Yiyen, probably no one else knew about it. The main reason was that there were no seasonings like chili and pepper. Even if the recipes passed down from the past recorded how to make barbecue, it was useless without the ingredients. It was not strange that people in this era did not know about it. It was reasonable to say that something that should be unique suddenly coincided at a certain time and place. Not to mention that Lan Jiaye originally had doubts about Su Yiyen. Even if he didn't before, he should have guessed it by now. Not to mention, Su Yiyen and the streamer he had been thinking about had another overlap, and that was the timing of her pregnancy. Lan Jiaye felt that he was really stupid when he thought about it. When the little guy was 1 month old, he came with the elders to give gifts. The streamer had never concealed her pregnancy and had even stopped live streaming for several months because of it. Obviously, the two of them had similar schedules in all aspects, but he was blind to it. Just thinking about it made him depressed. Ahem. Su Yiyen looked at Lan Jiaye's pitiful appearance and couldn't help but feel a little apologetic. She touched her nose and explained, "Actually, I didn't mean to hide it. I never said that I wasn't a streamer, and I never said that I was a fan of the streamer." Lan Jiaye shuddered. Thinking back carefully, he realized that Su Yiyen had indeed never said that she was a fan of the streamer. It was he who saw her sitting alone in the corner of the medicinal cuisine house and subconsciously thought that she was a viewer of the streamer's live stream room like him. She had deliberately come to support the streamer's opening. Now that he thought about it, the restaurant was very lively at that time. Almost all the other tables were full of people, and only Su Yiyen's table was empty. That wasn't an empty seat. It was clearly a special seat that the employees had reserved for their boss. He even ran over excitedly to share a table with him. He didn't even recognize that he was the boss behind the scenes and foolishly praised him a lot. Now that he recalled the scene back then, Lan Jiaye wanted to dig a hole for himself and hide in it. He was ashamed and angry, but he was even more disappointed. All right, I admit that I was wrong. I apologize to you. You're a magnanimous person, so please don't lower yourself to my level, okay? You're not wrong. I was stupid. Lan Jiaye cried again after he finished speaking. Without waiting for Su Yiyen to say anything, he turned around and ran away. He looked very much like the tragic female lead in a melodramatic romance drama who was betrayed by a scumbag. Su Yiyen. He left just like that. Why didn't she realize that her nephew was a crybaby before? Lan Jiaye left, but Su Yiyen's live stream was still on. Because of this small episode, Su Yiyen started her live stream later than the original announcement. At this time, there was already a large group of viewers squatting in the live stream room, discussing why she hadn't arrived yet. Chapter 909. The screen flashed, and the familiar background of the live broadcast popped up. The audience, who had been lazy and dispirited because of Su Yiyen's lateness, was instantly overjoyed, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The host is finally here. We've been waiting for so long. The host is late. Shouldn't she be punished? Yes. The live broadcast was promised at 9 o'clock. She's already 10 minutes late. Don't underestimate these 10 minutes. Isn't there a saying that a day apart feels like 3 years? A day is 3 years. These 10 minutes are equivalent to a week. Host, you've made us wait for so long. How can you not express your gratitude, righteous? JPG. Su Yiyen looked at the screen full of comments asking for benefits. The corners of her lips curled up slightly, and she said with a faint smile, I was delayed by something at the last minute. It's my fault for making you wait for so long. However, I have good news to tell everyone today. For the sake of this good news, would you consider forgiving me? Good news. What good news? Is a new batch of medicinal herbs going to be put on the shelves again? Really? The first batch was really too difficult to get. I mobilized 10 to 20 people in my family, young and old, and only managed to get one set of lotus seeds. Woof. Come on out. Upstairs, be content. At least you managed to get one set. Unlike our family, which had more than 10 people, young and old, we didn't even get a single set. Vicissitudes of life lighting smoke. JPG, facts have proven that hand speed is very important when it comes to snatching things. I've been single for 20 years. I'm a bald athlete who has dedicated most of my youth to esports. Back then, I won the Global Esports League Championship, but my family didn't acknowledge me. This time, with my own strength, I helped my family's 8 aunts and 6 aunts get one set each. Now, I've successfully been promoted to the family's most beautiful child. Worship the big boss, and grab the big boss's pants while you're at it. We didn't even get a single set, but you actually got so many. You're too hateful. I also got one set. When I came back, I followed the recording in the host's live broadcast room and made a soup. Although it's not as tasty as the host's, it's my first time cooking. I'm satisfied that I can eat it. The most important thing is that after drinking it, I really feel much more relaxed. It's rare for me to have insomnia for 1 or 2 years. I slept until noon, and I didn't even wake up once. Even my mother said that the dark circles under my eyes have faded a lot after a few days. It could be seen that this was a suffering patient who suffered from insomnia. He was also the first person to benefit from the sale of the Chinese medicinal herbs. There were many people like her. In fact, after the first batch of medicinal herbs went on the market, it exploded in various circles of friends, relatives, and even the academic and medical circles. Su Yiyan's previous live stream lucky draw had a limited number of people. Later on, when he opened a physical store, the number of customers he could receive every day was also limited. Even though Su Yiyan's medicinal cuisine restaurant had won a certain amount of praise due to the wave of pre-orders, there were still some things that he had never eaten or used before. No matter how well others praised him, there would always be a question mark in his heart. Although the first batch of Chinese medicinal herbs was in short supply, the quantity was really not small. It was only because there were too many people who wanted to buy it that it gave people the illusion of hunger marketing. After being bought online, the time it took for the goods to arrive was also very fast. Many people began to eat almost as soon as they got the goods. Therefore, these days, some of the more popular public circles of friends and even the comments section under Su Yiyan's live broadcast room were almost occupied by all kinds of dark cuisine pictures. Chapter 9-10. Firstly, they wanted to let Su Yiyan, the original host, see it and comment on it. Secondly, they wanted to show off that they had defeated nearly 8 figures of competitors and won first place. Su Yiyan saw that many people were discussing the effects of the first batch of herbs. He patiently watched for a while. After making sure that most of the comments were positive, he was slightly relieved and continued with the previous topic. It will take some time for the new herbs to be delivered. For those who haven't bought them, don't worry. The Research Institute will deliver them regularly. The good news I'm going to tell you today is not this, but this. Su Yiyan took out a small medicine bag as he spoke. I already previewed today's live broadcast yesterday. It's barbecue. Eating too much barbecue will make it easy to get heaty, and some people with poor stomachs will have diarrhea if they eat too much. So, after eating barbecue, you will need to drink some soup to nourish the stomach to neutralize the heat. The bag in my hand is the 4 gentlemen. The so-called 4 gentlemen refers to ginseng, atractalodes, poria cocos, and licorice. They are put together in a certain ratio into a bag, which is the bag in my hand. As Su Yiyan spoke, she handed the medicine bag in her hand to the camera so that everyone could see what was inside. The amount in this bag is just enough to go with a few ribs and stew a small cup of soup. It's just enough for 1 person to drink. If it's a family, you can add 1 or 2 more bags. It's the same if you stew it together. Su Yiyan put the ribs and herbs into the casserole. He added an appropriate amount of water and began to boil. You can decide the amount of water you want, but I suggest that 1 bag should be enough for 2 or 3 bowls of water. If it's too diluted, it might lose its taste. Of course, there are also taboo groups for this. Breastfeeding mothers can't drink it because most of the food and drink during breastfeeding will dissolve in the breast milk and affect the baby. Babies who like to have pimples on their faces shouldn't drink it. What's suitable and what's not suitable will be written on the outside of the package. If you're not sure about your body's condition, you can do a small checkup before choosing the medicine that's beneficial to your body. Next, let's give a wave of benefits to the babies who are suffering from menstrual pain. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, the female viewers who were waiting in the live broadcast room were instantly excited. I've been waiting for you. Luckily, I didn't give up. It's coming, is the host going to make soup again? I'm on my period today, and it hurts so much that I want to cry. Everyone, please take pity on a bedridden wretch like me. Let me win the lottery later. Please, sob sob sob. The screen of the live stream was flooded with messages asking for the lucky draw. Su Yiyan glanced at them with regret. The next medicine packet is also a mixture of 4 types of herbs. It's called the 4 things. There's Angelica sinensis, Ligusticum chuanxiong, white peony, and Rhizoma chinensis. I've used Angelica sinensis and Rhizoma chinensis in my previous live stream. These 2 things have the effect of regulating menstruation and nourishing blood. White peony and Ligusticum chuanxiong also have the effect of promoting blood circulation, relieving pain, and regulating menstruation. But it's worth noting that the Siwu decoction promotes blood circulation. You can't drink it during your menstrual period. It's best to drink it before or after. It depends on one's habits. I usually drink it after it's finished. I can boil it in soup or stew it in chicken soup. If you like sweet things, you can add some red dates and rock sugar. The effect is good and the taste is good. Oh right, breastfeeding mothers can't drink it either. The reason is the same as before. Chapter 9:11. When Su Yiyan mentioned it, many people began to lament that it was not easy for pregnant women. After 10 months of pregnancy, they had to breastfeed the child. They could not eat this or that. When Su Yiyan saw these comments, she could not help but laugh. That's right. A woman is willing to risk her body being out of shape, her body being weak and swollen, and even the risk of having a lot of sequelae after giving birth. She is willing to bear a child for you and give birth to the fruit of your love. Needless to say, after giving birth, many people have to help take care of the child and breastfeed the child. They are very busy. If she doesn't really like the child and really loves you, why would she suffer for no reason? Before complaining that your wife has a bad temper during pregnancy and becomes a haggard old woman after giving birth, you should think about your wife's sacrifice. Also, did you fulfill your responsibility as a husband during your wife's pregnancy? Did you give your wife enough care and a sense of security? As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, a comment floated on the screen. Then when the host was pregnant, did the host's husband fulfill his responsibility as a husband? Su Yiyan was taken aback, and then she slowly smiled. Him. Barely passing. At that time, Hu Chenhuan, who was sitting in the corner of the hall and watching the live broadcast, raised his eyebrows when he heard Su Yiyan's words. There were slight ripples in his deep eyes. I think the host is being sarcastic. Passing or something like that. She said it so sweetly. It's too sweet. Oh, the host doesn't mean what she says. It's not like everyone only found out today. Previously, the host's frequency of live broadcasts was greatly reduced when she was pregnant. Did you really think the host was slacking off? No, that's the host's husband's love for her. The bullet screen in the live broadcast room suddenly changed from asking for a prize to ridiculing the host. Su Yiyan was blushed by everyone's words and simply stopped watching. Today, I'll use this to make chicken soup. I don't have many people here, so the rest will be used for the lucky draw. Let's draw 5. You can only drink it if you're not on your period. Viewers who are still breastfeeding or menstruating, don't fight for it later. The medicine packs that I've mentioned today will be sold in physical stores one after another. It won't be too late to buy them and boil them into soup when you can drink them. Mama Bao and the pitiful little girl who were on her period, who happened to be listed as a taboo group, were originally a little disappointed. However, when they heard Su Yiyan's words, they were immediately reinvigorated. Boy, Buy, they had to buy. Even if they couldn't drink it now, they had to buy some and store it. Who knew if they would start to limit their purchases in the future? It was better to buy more just in case. Su Yiyen cut off the head and tail of the chicken, chopped it into pieces, and put it into the clay pot with the 4 ingredients and red dates. Then, he filled the pot with water and waited for the chicken to be stewed. Next up is the 8 treasures soup. The 8 treasures soup is actually the combination of the 4 objects and 4 monarchs from earlier. When the 2 medicines are combined together, the medicinal effect is also a combination of the 2. It is beneficial to qi and blood. It is suitable for patients who are deficient in both qi and blood because of prolonged illness, imbalance after illness, and excessive blood loss. The cooking method is similar to the previous 2. Stewed chicken or stewed pork ribs are also fine. When some viewers heard that this thing was a combination of the 2 ingredients, they subconsciously felt that this thing was better than the previous 2. My father's spleen and stomach are not very good. My mother is always sick and uncomfortable during her period. Do I only need to buy 1 set of this and it will be solved in one go? This message asked the thoughts of many people present. Su Yiyen was not surprised by this. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.